So my question first to you, Ryan, is about how you came across her story and convinced her to do the movie.
So my uncle is actually in the film. He's Billy Kingsley at the Mercy Beats. So I grew up going back and forth to Liverpool my whole life. He was in the Mercy Beats. My aunt worked for Freda in the Beatles fan club. So I grew up around Freda. All of their friends are sort of come from the 60s Liverpool music scene. I knew Freda from family weddings and Christmases and the like, but had no idea she was the Beatles secretary. We just always got along very well and talked at weddings and things like that, but I didn't know there was a backstory there, and she and our producer, Kathy McCabe, actually approached me with the project a couple years ago when, as you saw in the film, Freda had reached this age and point in her life where she wanted to put it down as a legacy for her family, and knew me very well by that point, and so brought it up with me.
And so what do you think of the finished product?
I'm pleased with it.
What was, as far as the film goes, were there any, I know you said that you expect the audience to ask the difficult questions, but I'm wondering with what we saw on the screen, was there any particular, is there any particular scene that's hard to watch or was difficult for you to relate?
Yeah, maybe I'm difficult to use that.
All right, I'm sure we have lots of questions from our audience here. The light is stunning. But I see this hand right here. Yes, sir.
A couple of things. I saw Ty Cobb's name there as a credited. What did Ty Cobb have to do?
It's different Ty Cobb.
He's long gone. This one's still here.
And Timothy, what happened to Timothy?
No, well, we're not going to discuss that. But you know, yeah, no, it's something. You know, obviously, Freda made this for her family, and it's something that she's not going to discuss in a Q&A.
Yes.
I just want to say it was very comforting to see this film and to appreciate you as a human being and as a person who went through that and had those wonderful memories. And it comes across as a beautiful film.
Yes.
So, do you still have George Harrison's hair then?
I have actually.
What about Tony?
The question was about whether she still has George Harrison's hair.
Somewhere in one of those boxes.
Look a good idea.
There's an interesting story about this. Actually, we funded this film with a Kickstarter campaign, which is a crowdsourcing way of getting basically Beatles fans to help donate and fund the film. And a person on our behalf had a piece of George Harrison's hair that Freda had sent them in the 60s, and they said, we'll sell this piece of hair on eBay, and whatever we make from it, we'll donate to your film. And they sold one strand of George Harrison's hair for $3,000. So, fast forward 6 months, and we're in Freda's attic filming that scene, and I mean, that scene is not rehearsed. This was all happening as it came, and so the envelope falls out of the scrapbook, and it says George Harrison's real hair and her 16-year-old handwriting on it. And I, behind the camera, I can't help it, but I'm like, Freda, that is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because there are clumps in there, and immediately, I've never felt so terrible about myself. Freda looked at me and said, like, that is disgusting, Ryan. Why would I ever sell that? That's George's hair, and I just kind of wilted. But yeah, she's...
Yes.
I just have to say there's such craziness around extraordinary fame. Those guys were so lucky that they hooked up with you. You had so much integrity. And it's just so rare in this crazy business of fame. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I really admire the soundtrack of the film because I mean it does a lot of songs that the Beatles covered and liked. Was there any thought process behind it?
Yeah,
It's
good
really
question.
very good soundtrack.
Thank you. The question was about the soundtrack of the film. But yeah, there was a lot of thought that went into the soundtrack. So I'm sure you're aware, but Beatles music is extremely rare to be used in a film. We got one of the very, very few exceptions they've ever given in film and television to use Beatles music, and it's all a testament to Freda that I even was able to get in those doors or pick up the phone and call the people that mattered about that, that we pulled it off. But my first meeting with Apple Records about this film, they said, how many Beatles songs do you want? And I said, I'd like 25. And they almost laughed at me. And I was using 25 Beatles songs in the film. And I started cutting the film, and I'd used all Beatles music in my editor as well as to sort of guide the scenes. And I was really hoping to come away with one Beatles song. I knew that would be a huge achievement, but I asked for 25, and we got 4. We kind of got 5 because we got the Christmas record at the beginning, which has never been used before either. But then the question was, how do we replace the rest of the soundtrack when it's going to be non-Beatles songs? So I'm glad you noticed, actually, because we did use a lot of the original versions of Beatles songs. There's the original Twist and Shout, the original Anna, Please Mr. Postman, Boys, it's countless. We have Little Richard and Buddy Holly and Carl Perkins and Fats Domino. Again, it was all a testament to Freda. I think once we lined up having the Beatles in a film, which never happens, all the record labels were willing to work with us. And I was just waiting to get no as an answer from any of them, but she has such a compelling story, I think. It's a really easy film to pitch. Probably the easiest film I'll ever have to pitch, where you can say, this is the only holdout from the inner circle. She's never sold them out. She's had countless opportunities to write a tell-all and make millions or sell all the memorabilia. She's never done that. She's still working secretary today. We're hoping to break even on this film. Will you work with us? And every record label said yes, and I think it's a testament to Freda.
Make sure I'm not missing anybody in the back, but yes.
Have you thought about getting a soundtrack? Because as a Beatle fan, and I'm not just saying to raise money, but also for us, I'd love to buy a soundtrack.
The question was, can you buy a soundtrack? It's a whole different monster in the film distribution world to put out a soundtrack and to put out a film, so we're kind of doing it baby steps right now. You can buy the DVD soon with all of those songs on it, but and our film actually just got picked up for distribution in the U.S. and North America, all of North America. And all the pictures, but you know, it might be something we can figure out later on down the road, but for now it's just getting the film out there, maybe a soundtrack later.
Yes. And I'll get to you in one moment, but I have a question. What's your favorite Beatles song?
Or 2. You can say it. You can't pick just one.
Oh, I have loads. I can't just pick one song. You know, I play one Beatles song and then that will open the memory bank and then I play another one and I like John singing certain songs and then I like Paul, so I just can't just pick one. Sorry.
Here's another question now. What was the first song you heard them play live?
I think it was 3 Cool Cats. Or maybe Best in the Week Show. All the old numbers.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing your story with me, and thank you for capturing it in such an amazing way. I basically sobbed through the whole thing, so it's a good thing I wasn't around in the 60s.
Oh, I didn't set out to do that.
My question is, I know that in making a documentary, the editing process must be so grueling, especially to create an arc and things that great moments are probably left on the cutting room floor, and hopefully someday there'll be a DVD with amazing extras. But is there anything that you wish could have fit, but just the flow didn't accommodate it?
I mean, absolutely. The question was whether the editing process was difficult and whether things were left on the cutting room floor. I mean, that's the case with any documentary. You always cut out things, and you noticed Freda gave me a look during that said, why did you cut those 3 or 4 stories that she really loves? And there will be a DVD with DVD extras at some point. One, just to give you an example, since you asked, that comes to mind, was a story. It just happened a little bit too late in the film. It happened after Brian Epstein died, and as the Beatles were starting to sort of do the downturn thematically with the film. You can find Freda later and ask for the story, but it's an after party after one of the films, and it's just a drunken, hilarious Beatles story. But with the way the film was moving, it just didn't fit there. But there's a lot that will be on DVD extras, because we shot 40 hours of interviews, Freda and I, and like I said, she'd never taken the time to tell these stories. They were all unrehearsed, so it was just such a pleasure as a filmmaker. I feel so lucky to have gotten to sit there and just ask her questions and go from 8 in the morning till 1 in the morning listening. So there's a lot of really amazing things that weren't in the film. A double DVD, deal.
Oh, there's loads of
Yes.
Superman.
A great film. I loved it. I'm curious
off the cell phone stuff?
No.
There was somebody in the middle.
I'm sorry, I
Yes,
couldn't hear you.
she said no.
Couldn't do that.
Question is for Freda. So you worked around the Beatles and this incredible time and everything that was going on and Brian Epstein, but outside of that group, was there anybody through your career with them that you met that was like the most outstanding person you met?
It's a hard one. There was a lot of groups around town that I thought were good, and one of the particular groups that I did like, and they were classed as the group's group, but they were called the Big Three. I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
Yeah.
I was a big Motown fan, and I became a Motown fan through George, and I remember him playing the Smokey Robinson, and I just couldn't believe that was male. I was arguing with George for ages. I thought that was the females. And George, no, it's a male, but it was really just round town, the groups round town and Motown that I listened to them.
Yes.
I was just wondering, Freda, if you did any international traveling with the Beatles, and if so, like, what was the most interesting place you went to?
No, I didn't. I didn't even go on tour with them. The only thing I'd done was Magical Mystery Tour. And I could have stayed 2 weeks with them on Magical Mystery Tour. I was actually booked for 2 weeks. And I know I really shouldn't say this in front of Beatle fans, you know, but I gave up a week working with the Beatles, but at the end of the first week, I'd had enough. So I thought, you know, beat me up, Scotty, get me out of here. So I just said, you know, we used to have meetings at night, and I just said, I'm going back to the pub, I've had enough of this.
Yes.
Did you ever move to London?
No, my father wouldn't let me move to London, but I did go down every 6 weeks. He agreed to that, so I would go down, say Friday night, before I was married, and come back Monday, and go out with them over the weekend, if they were at home. You know, I used to stay with Richie when he lived in Hampstead, and would stay with Laurie, my friend, who was in or another girl, and I would go to the pubs with them, and, you know, pick up knowledge and work, you know, in Apple or, you know, Argyle Street, you know, because they had an office in Argyle Street first, and then I would just come home. I never actually moved to live in England.
Yes.
Two questions for Ryan. Ryan, I love the flow of the film because of Freda's joy in telling the stories. And I'm wondering, did you do a lot of second takes, or was all that first take? And also, when did the filming of Ringo get done as far as the rest of the film goes?
Yeah, the first question was whether he said he liked the flow because of Freda's joy, and whether we did a lot of second takes. I don't think we did any second takes. I mean, Freda's not an actress. Like she said, she quit Magical Mystery Tour after a week because she hated the filming process so much. And so I've never been shot down so many times in my life. And during this filming process, if I tried to get a second take, or can you say this a different way, and as you can tell, when Freda doesn't want to do something, she says no, and she looks at you, and you move on. And so it's all really organic and natural, which was fun, you know, and it was fun in the editing process to get to sort through that. The second question was about Ringo. Ringo came through really at the end. You know, we reached out to them very early, Paul and Ringo, that we were making this film. They've been extremely supportive of the making of the film. Obviously, the fact that we got Beatles music is evidence that they were very supportive of the film. And, you know, I always joke that Freda has literally never called this film a film or a movie, and even when projecting it to them, she always calls it a little DVD, which is her word for our movie, and how she sees our movie. And so I don't know if they really knew what we were doing until the end, that it was actually going to be a film that would play festivals and now has distribution. And so they did see the film at the end, and Ringo did that for us, which we're very thankful for.
Ryan says that I keep saying about a little DVD. I didn't even think I would do festivals. I didn't think it would get to that. You know, I set out really to just tell a tale for my grandson, because I didn't do it for my son. And I thought, right, I will do it for my grandson. And then it just escalated. I mean, I
see no evil, hear no evil type. I just wanted to ask, did your father ever get the chance to meet them, or did he ever?
Oh, he met them. You know, he saw them very often. You know, in the letters and everything. But my father wanted me to go out with a respectable boy in a suit or be an altar boy or something. Because, you know, he thought scruffs. You know, don't think he ever got round to liking them. I mean, he didn't, you know, he died quite early on, and we didn't get to know him personally, really. We didn't see the good side of him.
You got some good stories, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Rita, getting back to Brian Epstein, thank you again. You mentioned that videotapes that jam in the movie.
Yeah.
And you have that, first of all, do you have any of the videotapes, any of Brian Epstein's, you know, tapes left over somewhere?
I've got just a small tape. God knows why I kept it, no idea. It's not talking about the Beatles. He's dictating to me, but it's about Billy J. And he's just dictating a letter about Billy J.
And I have to just mention, ask question,
Sorry, Billy J. Kramer.
Billy J. Kramer, the Dakotas. Alistair Taylor and Joe Flannery, do you have any, you know, Alistair was with Brian at the Tavern Club when Brian first went and saw them at the lunchtime. And then Joe Flannery is Liverpool's cultural ambassador for Light, everyone. He claims that he worked exclusively with Mr. Epstein, and then it's a good thing you didn't move to London, because back in 1968, Klein, the Beatles' new manager, sacked everyone, including Alistair Taylor. Do you have anything to say about Alistair Taylor or Joe
No,
Flannery?
I knew Alistair, because he originally worked in Nems Limited down on the record department, and was Brian Epstein's assistant in Liverpool. And then he moved to London, and you know, when I would go to London, I would see Alistair, and I know Joe Flannery as well. Joe's been in the book out, so I will see Joe, I think on the 19th of May, because he's asked me to go to the launch of the book.
After this, are you going to continue to go on different film festivals and tour, and what's the,
I don't know. Honestly don't know. You know, I'm going home on Sunday. I will arrive in Manchester on Monday, and I'm in work on Tuesday. I work for a law firm. I've been with this law firm for 20 years, so my boss is expecting me back on Tuesday. And he doesn't really know a lot about this. He's in for a shock, isn't he?
So we have time for two more in the back.
wonderful film, thank you so much. So grateful. Did you have contact Freda after you left working for the Beatles throughout the year, Christmas cards, your birthdays, or anything like that?
I did see them over a period of time, just occasionally, you know, especially when I came home to Liverpool. But after sort of 10 years, or I think it was about 15 years the last time I actually saw Paul to speak to. It was in Liverpool, it was at the opera. I can't remember what date that was, I don't keep dates in there. I saw Ringo 2 years ago. He played in Liverpool. And just got 2 tickets to go, so my daughter and I went. But I went to the concert and then went home. I mean, I wouldn't go down to the side door and go, "Oh, let me in." That's a long time ago. I was very, very surprised that Richie done something for the film.
And somebody in the very back, yes.
Was your husband a Beatles fan?
No, he's actually the Eagles. He was younger than me, and he was a bass player as well. And he did like them, but he listened to a lot more music, and he was into a lot of the American groups, the band, and the group called Band, Delaney and Bonnie.
All right, well, I want to thank all of our guests for being here.